So this passage from Luke's gospel about the lost sheep, about how there were 99 who were together and one somehow got separated from the fold, and then the shepherd went and returned that one, is one that may be familiar to us. It's often depicted in art. You see Jesus, the Good Shepherd, in windows, often wearing a red robe and carrying a sheep on his shoulder, just like that last verse, the third verse of the hymn we just sang. Perverse and foolish oft I strayed, but yet in love you sought me, and on your shoulder gently laid, and home rejoicing brought me. I'm told that if you ever tried to lift up a sheep and put it on your shoulder, only Jesus could do it. Not only because they're heavy, but because they might not take to it that well. But still, it's a lovely image, don't you think? And who doesn't love the image of being returned home? Homecoming. So this passage is often used it's called the parable of the lost sheep. It's also called, it's one that points out the role of a shepherd, but I want us to look at how it originated in the Gospels and why it might have meaning for us today. Jesus addresses this parable, and parables are just stories, and there's no one way to interpret a story. I believe Jesus told stories so that we could find ourselves in them somewhere, locate ourselves in them, and experience the grace of that story. So while this often focuses on the lost sheep or the shepherd, I think that there's more to it than that. It says in the first, the introductory framing verse, now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to Jesus. And the Pharisees, the scribes, the religious people, the religious authorities were grumbling and saying, who is this guy? He welcomes sinners to eat with him. This is the context in which Jesus told this story. He's addressing it to the religious leaders, the people who have power and privilege in that period, and who often controlled what religion meant to people. It meant there were the lost and the found, the good and the bad, those who were like us and those who were not like us. And they were annoyed that Jesus was focusing his attention not on the church, or not on the good people, or not on the found, but on the people who felt alienated from these structures and communities, people who didn't fit in, people that good, upstanding, righteous people would have nothing to do with. Tax collectors, sinners. And as if to make the point even more clearly, Jesus didn't just speak to them, he had a relationship with them. He made meals, and they ate together in public, where people could see this, no less. It was a scandal. And this is how Jesus responded to the scandal that he was presenting, the scandal of inclusion that he represented. He told them this parable. And so you can tell it's addressed to them because it begins by him saying, which one of you owning 100 sheep? Very few people owned 100 sheep. Only people who had means, people who had authority or privilege in that society could own them. People who were leaders, however they came into leadership. And so that's who Jesus is talking to when he tells this story. Though that doesn't mean it can't have other meanings for us who are hearing it. Sometimes we are the people that Jesus is speaking to directly. Sometimes we're the people that Jesus is speaking about. That's the beauty of a parable. It can be looked at in so many different ways, and there's no one way to do it. And he paints a very simple illustration. If you had 100 sheep and one of them leaves, which one of you would not go after the one, leaving the 99 for a brief time in order to find it? And when you find that sheep, which one of you wouldn't be so excited that you would scoop it up, bring it, carry it back to the fold, and not only that, tell all your friends, Aren't you excited for me? The one that was lost is back. What we were missing has been found. The one who was gone has returned. Now, it's possible that the religious people hearing this story could have understood that Jesus was suggesting that they might just as well say good riddance to the one sheep, not go after them. But Jesus' method, Jesus' heart about creating community is that until we are complete, until everyone is included, till all of us are back, then we should be restless. We should be unsatisfied. And we should deploy our resources even out of proportion to gather the one, even if there are 99 who are there. Because Jesus teaches us and was trying to get them to look for, well, who's not here and why? Who's missing? And in this case, the shepherd entrusts the group to take care of themselves for the time it takes and for the energy and resources it takes to gather the one who is gone. Jesus doesn't say or make an equation, well, I can afford to lose one, or if I have 70, then it doesn't matter about the 30. Jesus is all in on everybody, the whole group, gathered together. And that's the passion of the group that Jesus hopes, I believe, that those religious leaders would have, but that we would have also. A certain kind of awareness. Who's not here and why? And why is as important as who? And that we would also embody as a group, as a church, this passion for restoration. Because until restoration is complete, we cannot be whole. Today, after church, I invite you to come to a presentation on the results of the Holy Cow. I know I'm mixing farm animals here, sheep and cows. But we did a survey last fall that 37 or so people, 38, I can't remember the exact number, filled out of our group of about 70, which is a very good return. That gave us a picture of what was important for us. What were the things that, there were things that we disagree about, and that was revealed in the survey, but there were 3 or 4 things that came through very clearly about what was important to us, about wanting to grow, about wanting to have more children and families here, and also to grow numerically, to be a more complete flock, if you will, than we are at present. One of the board members reading it this week wrote an email to the other council members and made this observation: I would like to see more diverse population in the church. Most of our church members are well off and well educated. Can we see more diverse colors and races among the congregation? Then we need to work on it, I think. I think that heaven is about mingling with each other. And I love that. This survey prompted someone to make that observation and to share it with the others. I hope you'll come after church to hear about it more, and I will be talking more about the survey then and give you a summary sheet that has the results of it. And we can make copies of the entire, it's about 60 pages, data available to you if you like. Jesus wants restoration and urges us to look for where there needs to be more. There are examples of this going on all around us all the time. And we looked up one little example of restoration too. This afternoon at 2 o'clock at the Congregational Church in San Mateo, as part of Women's History Month, we'll be showing a film called Sally, about Bay Area feminist and lesbian Sally Miller Gerhardt, who died a couple of years ago, but who was particularly active in politics and in community in the 70s and 80s. She founded the first women's studies department in the country, and that's at San Francisco State University. I was a women's studies minor in college, so that's all you could have at the school that I was at, was a minor. Maybe she's especially dear to my heart, and she was a personal friend of mine as well. She was a Lutheran by upbringing and had to leave her church school position as a professor because she was outed as a lesbian. And so she moved to San Francisco and found this way to be open about who she was. And she said at one point, I was so excited to be able to say that I was a lesbian that I would shake hands with strangers on the street and say, hi, I'm Sally Gerhardt, and I'm a lesbian. Once I began, hi, I'm Sally Lesbian, and I'm a Gerhardt. And she realized that maybe she was going a little overboard. But this was the 70s in this area at that time. And the restoration piece I want to tell you about is something that's in the film that we worked very hard to incorporate. In 1978 in California, there was a law, a proposition, state proposition, Prop 6, I think it was, to ban from teaching in public schools not only anyone who was a gay or lesbian teacher, but anyone who advocated for LGBT rights. And so any person who espoused that notion of equality was to not be allowed to teach in the public schools. It was a state proposition and it failed by 1 million votes. It was history making for the whole country. It changed the country for gay people because it was the first time that large groups of people expressed themselves in solidarity. But Sally debated famously at the time, along with Harvey Milk, Senator John Briggs, who was the originator of this, who spotted a lot of lies about gay people that are not unlike some of the things that people are saying now about transgender people. And in this very publicly televised debate, Sally Gerhardt took Senator Briggs to task and took him down by simply telling the truth. She was a professor of speech and rhetoric also, and that gave her a slight advantage perhaps. But I tell you this because you've probably seen, perhaps in recent years, there have been movies about Harvey Milk, the supervisor in San Francisco, one famously called Milk with Sean Penn and others. And when they made this movie, they took Sally Gerhardt's speech and put it in the mouth of Harvey Milk and only showed Harvey Milk speaking. And those of us who knew her were like, oh, wait a minute. And so that's just one little piece in this film. We show you the original speech and we show you what she had to say. And then we show a clip from the commercial film in which she's entirely left out and her speech is put entirely in a man's mouth. This is an act of restoration. Not only about fixing the present, but going back and fixing the past and telling a fuller story. I'll tell you why I was drawn to women's studies in the 1970s in college. It's because I had good teachers. That's sometimes why we pick what we pick, right? But also because it was telling history over again from a different perspective. It was restoring a fuller picture. And this is what Jesus is urging us to do, to broaden our perspectives and to broaden our reach and not be satisfied until the whole story is told, until everyone is included. That's why I wanted to emphasize on Transgender Day of Visibility the importance of that we speak up and be in solidarity with our transgender friends, family members, non-binary family members at this point in history. There are some terrible things being said by people who know better. Maybe that's what's so annoying about it. But in the United Church of Christ, we stand firmly in solidarity with those who are transgender. And if in reading this story, we see some parallels to it, I hope that we can. Jesus would not be satisfied by saying it's only 1% of the population, if that. There are only 10 transgender athletes in women's sports. To Jesus, one is important as the 99, and urges us to a level of inclusion that's uncompromising. Include, include, include. We just replaced our banner out in front. We had a more traditional rainbow flag, and a year ago, I want to credit Leah, our former office manager, in saying, can't we add the transgender symbols to it? The flag at the top, you'll see when you go in and out, you'll see the colors that are there in the little triangle is meant to explicitly say transgender. And so it took a year and for various reasons for that to happen. It reminded me of my dad, who would grumble when I was young, why do I have to get a 50-star flag? What's wrong with the 48-star flag? Because it didn't tell the whole story. That's why. So it did take us a while, but we did get to it. And I want to credit Mickey and Mike for making it happen in the end. And I also want to note that we have a little privilege here with our building set far back from the street. We can have it. Reverend Polly from College Heights said that they've been unable to keep up 2 of those signs, even for a few days. The minute they're put up, they're taken down by neighbors. I don't think that will happen here. I guess it's a risk, and we have had problems in the past, but this message needs to be said, not just on the outside of the church with a flag, but inside the church to one another. This is what I think Jesus is saying to us in this passage. Look for the one, and don't be satisfied until everyone is protected, is nurtured, is cared for. I love this poem from our Lenten book called The Good Shepherd by Sarah Speed. Jesus said, who among you would leave the 99? Who among you wouldn't look for the one? Someone in the crowd probably rolled their eyes. Someone squirmed and looked at their palms. Someone sighed and thought to themselves, this man doesn't understand the business. What fool would leave 99 to look for one? But maybe God was not talking about us. Maybe God was talking about her own reckless love. Maybe God was talking about her own willingness to turn the world upside down for me. And I urge us all, never say you without meaning me, we, all of us, to read this passage and to feel it. It could be a passage for leaders. It could be a passage for any of us who are feeling a little lost and in need of finding. And because everybody is a little lost and a little found. It's non-binary. You're neither one or the other. And to hear and believe today, God wants each one of us to know the full and unconditional love that is available to us by God. Everyone is included. That means every single one of us. In whatever way we feel left out, whatever way we feel not fully incorporated. And it's a message to us as a group. What can we do to make this the most welcoming, embracing community of faith on the peninsula? Amen.